Debbie Does Dallas. Great soundtrack.
I love
All
that
loose.
soundtrack. So it was very loose listening. Deep tracks. Like the Sirius satellite radio station. Really gets in the soul.
It's like they had a bunch of random people had their fingers in that project.
They did. Takes a team to make a dream. Wasn't that the same?
Scenariological, autoerotical, tubular, bovular joy, an explosular, regional, bachelor, pouchular, fun for girl and boy, a latissimal, dorsical, hung like a horsical, caliphalygical ball, the most bunular, funula, fruit of the lumula, Frenchical, tongular, wabada, bobular, funula, bunular, fruit of the lumula, Frenchical, tongular, wabada, bobular, vesical, auricle, snorkel, shabular, toshabachicular ball. Hey! Hey guys! How's the movie? Oh, it's breastica, bubical, chestica, mamical, pendular, globular.
Teamwork.
That is a trade.
So you like the Cowboys, do you?
That is a trademark coin phrase at a2a@gaming.com or YouTube channel. What the fuck?
You don't even know what you have.
I can't even make the joke anymore.
Whatever. I'll put it here.
No, I'm a Niners fan. I'm a Niners fan.
Debbie didn't say that.
She's a 69ers fan.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Do you put honey in your coffee if you run out of sugar?
No.
I do.
For me,
it slightly changes the taste.
If I can't have one,
she does not.
I don't put either. I will drink my coffee black.
Racist.
No, it's not that. It's
tan coffee matters.
Blue soda matters.
Anywho, what are we talking about today? We are talking about
multiverse. Well, but
we're talking about many theories of the universe, I guess, because multiverses.
The theories of the existence of multiple universes, or alternate universes, or parallel universes, which sad but true.
There's all different things. So,
I mean, parallel universes, other universes, alternate. Yeah, the universes. See, but that's the thing. When you say the word multiverse, and here's one of the things I wanted to read you from the fact checking that I did. The different universes.
Yes, there's a change, ladies and gentlemen. Queso de Soto fact-checked himself before a show. This is groundbreaking right here. This is a groundbreaking moment, which calls CNN, NBC, MSNBC,
I'm glad
CBS,
the one
DVD,
change.
VCR. Oh my God. Oh yeah, he cut his beard too. What a homo.
What a fucking... Let me look at his neck. Oh, there's
Santa.
Oh my God.
Santa does have a neck.
Except I try to come more than once a year.
Tries.
Usually it's self-inflicted.
Oh, that's sad. That's sad.
No, so how about, if you don't mind, I want to hear, like, when you put your notes down for a minute.
Right.
Because I want to get an opinion. I'm going to cover mine up too.
Okay.
I don't want to see anything.
Right. John Cena. We're doing John Cena style now.
Stop being mean to Stevie Wonder.
5 fingers.
You can't see me. When you hear, you're looking at your notes.
I'm looking at it. I'm not reading anything. Sorry, it's a force of habit to look down at my leg and think.
When you hear the words multiverse, what comes to your mind?
Marvel right now. And that's true.
All porn aside.
Okay.
Please. Avengers Endgame. Like, that's not a sad attempt at Disney for we wish we were in the porn industry. A bunch of people gangbanging each other, see fists flying, blood splatter. It's funny how the blood always seems to come from the crotch.
It happens. What do I think of a multiverse?
Well, what comes to mind for your definition when someone asks you, what does the word multiverse mean to you?
Well, before looking into actual things earlier, someone would have said multiverse to me, and I would have said multiple universes, which is actually 2 different things, unbeknownst to me. So yeah, that would be the broad definition that I would have said. Is like, well, yeah, multiverse. It's like, well, yeah, it's like 2 or more different universes.
See, I'm not gonna lie. when I hear the words multiverse, I unfortunately have a very cinematic, developed definition of it.
So you are very much into the multiverse.
No. Go through all of the movies since the dawning of time that have anything to do with alternate realities, two stories, even like movies where they're like giving you 5 different perspectives, like the movie Go. Not a lot of people know that movie. It's literally like an hour and a half movie broken down into like 6 different stories. The first like 20 minutes is what happens to these 2 characters. The next 20 minutes is while this is happening to those characters, this is happening to these. So it's like, now that's all happening at the same time, and it's all within this world, but it's like, it's multi-channel, everything happening at once. So what I mean by I've developed a very cinematic definition of it is, it's many different things happening at the same time at different places.
That's one universe, though.
But now, turn those into different universes. Like, in this universe, the guy's winning at the slot machine. In this universe, he's losing at the slot machine. In this universe, that same guy's getting mugged.
That's the daughter... no, that's not the daughter universe theory.
That's the parallel universe.
Yeah, the parallel universe theory is kind of like what they equate it to like a loaf of sliced bread. Where it's like, say the loaf is like all the possible universes, infinite amount of like slices, but each slice is just existing just beyond our reach of like comprehension or like detection or anything. But in one universe, I may have a full beard and you may be, well, I am not clean shaven right now, but normally I am. This week,
shaved his balls either.
It does, whatever.
I made sure to say that so the camera didn't, the boom mic didn't pick it up very well.
It will though.
I'm sorry.
Hey, I like a beard connecting everything.
I call it the happy hiking trail.
That's right. Except there's like a brush fire that burnt out right through here. So as soon as you get off the trail, you're lost.
Scars. No, so yeah, like that was the definition I had in my head.
Right.
Like say I bet you Jet Li's the movie.
Right.
That is like the textbook definition in my head. It's so many. It could be a set amount of universes or an infinite amount of universes where it's all the same people, all the same place, but all different scenarios, all different roles, all different, like you live in New York State in 99 of these
I know.
different universes.
I live in Georgia.
But
how many times have we said
the 107th universe?
50 miles from Georgia. Are you talking about the multiverse me? Yeah, the multiverse me lives in New York.
Yeah.
We're clearly in Georgia. How do you describe this heat? How do you explain it?
The need for the industrial
It's
fan.
Palatine Bridge, Georgia.
It's getting a little too real here. No, so
There you
yeah.
go.
So like, but with doing the fact check and doing the research for tonight, it was like, Jesus Christ. I really did not, I had a very narrowed scope of what the term multiverse meant. And on top of that, what comprises it. Because in these notes, like, I actually went as far as to, like, not the entomology. That's the bad word for it. I don't know if that's the right word I'm thinking of. The anatomy that goes behind the makeup of all of this. Like, within our own universe right now, but the possibility of other universes, like the black hole theory. I know that's in the notes. We've talked about that before the camera's turned on. Like, the theory behind the black hole, its composition, what goes into it, it's compressed into a singularity. But the theory being that that's what we are. We are a singularity right alongside another one. We don't know what goes in it. And did you actually know there's also, like, in these facts, I'll talk about it, the opposite of a black hole is a white hole. Which has very similar but very differentiating attributes.
Is that an explosion of energy?
No. It's in here. I'll find it and I'll explain it.
Are you sure? There's like 400 pages you got to go through.
Hey, it's okay. Don't mind.
You should have at least fucking highlighted shit.
I should have, but I got into what I was reading and I stopped like thinking about what I was
Even when he
touch.
over prepares, he's under prepared.
That's the way to do it, though.
How the fuck do you manage
So
this?
yeah, all right. Now it's like, here we go. Now we can get into the fact checking, like the actual facts.
Carry it along.
Well, I don't want to read word for word, so I'll peruse through and I'll touch on things and I'll say things.
Yeah. Best way to do it.
So like the multiverse, also known as the omniverse or meta universe. You ever heard of it called that before? Mm-hmm. I've actually, before I read this, I never heard of a meta universe.
Like I've said before, I listen to a lot of different shit before I go to bed and stuff.
I'm going to start because this really got me.
There's a new thing that, don't ask me what it's called, the actual theory.
What's it actually called?
In physics. Well, actually what it's called. String theory has been the biggest thing.
That's in here.
Well, there's something that there's scientists that are starting, very few, some that are starting to jump on board now. It's something that actually goes against string theory. Because the thing in science is what you do is you constantly test things to see if you get results. And the thing with string theory is it's only gotten so far, but now it's kind of like dead. And a lot of people, a lot of scientists are, and this is human nature, they don't want to let that theory go. So there's this new theory that's coming out that actually completely negates string theory that almost sets us back down, like, back to the drawing board kind of thing. And
well, it's funny. Go ahead, sorry.
As I have to look it up, and once I find it, I'll put it up. In post, I'll put it up, so whatever. It's up right there.
I'm glad I read through all this because it's funny that you bring that up about going back to the drawing board because there's a topic in here. I actually put it to the back because I didn't think we'd have much to talk about in regards to it. Occams Razor. Really quick, let me get to that, and I'll read you what it is.
Okay.
I actually put it right back in here. M theory, that's interesting too. I read into that, I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, of the universe, the end?
No, M theory.
M theory.
In non-technical terms, I'll read it really quick. M theory presents an idea about the basic substance of the universe.
Right.
As of 2019, science
as in molecular...
No.
Like protons or...
No. It's funny because when I read this, I was like...
Go ahead.
So as of 2019, science has produced no experimental evidence to support the concept that M theory is a description of the real world. Mm-hmm. Although a complete mathematical formulation of M theory is not known, the general approach is the leading contender for a universal theory of everything. So it's not like a basic structure, it's like a theory of everything, but there's no mathematical equation to it.
Right.
And that's where science...
So it's not your E equals MC squared.
Yeah. So really quick, let me find that Occams Razor, because I can explain it, but I don't want to sound stupid.
Right.
Well, no, because I can tell you what
Insert Monterey Jack joke here.
Okay, so really quick, I found it, but the basic principle of Occams Razor gets down to easiest explanation is the right one.
Right.
Now, that is the most general, broad that I could come up with for words.
Wouldn't it be the other way around? That's normally in science is usually the right explanation is the easiest one?
No. Because here's where it applies to the multiverse concept.
Okay.
You could have 20 different explanations for one result.
Right.
Or one result that you develop 20 different reasons for.
Okay.
And that's where the multiverse, this is where Occam's Razor applies to the multiverse.
Well, that's exactly what this all the theories is. It's like you have the one result, which is our being, the universe, and 20 different explanations. The parallel universe, the daughter universe, the multiverse, the mathematical universe. Go ahead.
So actually, I was mistaken. I'm sorry. Well, no, because...
Just go. What is it?
It is sometimes misquoted in pop culture and other media by some form of the statement, the simplest solution is most likely the right one.
Right.
Now, when I said that's what it broke down for me, but it's like, usually the easiest is the right, but the more, what it's supposed to be is like, you can come up with 20 different ways to get one answer, or one answer can give you 20 different approaches.
Right.
That's what Occam's Razor is about. And it was a theory developed by, what was his name? Willem Occam, who actually didn't even come up with the theory. It was a theory based off a statement he said, which, and I quote, I'm not reading the Latin, because it's actually in Latin.
Why?
It translates into English.
Oh.
Entities should not be multiplied without necessity.
Okay.
So, and that's where science, I think, is coming into the whole string theory, like you were talking about before. Like, we can only go so far, and then it's like, well, where do we go from here? So why continue? Henceforth, entities should not be multiplied without necessity. But that's, a weird correlation, I guess.
Right.
You know, it's funny though. History of the concept goes back way back. Hold on a second, really quick.
Oh, the multiverse?
Yeah, it goes back to like
Isaac Newton?
1800s.
I think it goes further. The multiverse, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that Isaac Newton is the one that measured measured the expansion of the universe, I think it was.
I don't know.
Newton's law of physics.
We'll have to fact check that and put it up there.
He was off in some, not like far off, but he was off in his calculations. But Einstein picked up his work or some shit like that. But like,
really funny thing about Einstein, little fun fact for the viewers out there. Do you know the whole theory, the whole belief of like some of the most brightest minds and about them being diagnosable with forms of autism?
not all, but some, yeah.
Most of them. They want to say like had some form of autism, which is funny because, you know, a lot of people view it as a disability, but some of the people that are really in support of this have actually started to like research and try to develop evidence to prove that it's actually like the next step of human evolution. Like it's
Possibly.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's in some cases an absence of emotion, any kind of attachment to things that would be distracting.
Yeah.
For some people that have Alzheimer's, or not Alzheimer's, that would be a complete and polar opposite. I said,
How did I get here? No, that's senility. Going senile. Yelling at kids, giving people the middle finger and smiling, walking around in your underwear.
oh,
Chance to meet new people every day.
I like your jacket. Where'd you get it from?
I don't remember.
Nice shade of white.
I like it because it's very therapeutic for my back.
That's right.
It makes me hug myself, telling me I love myself that much more every day.
What an awful way to stay. I would hate to be like this all the time.
I
Even
don't
though most of
know.
the time during these podcasts, this is how I'm sitting.
I was to say, I don't know, man. For someone who sits there with his arms crossed 90% of a podcast,
After about an hour and a half, I can't do it anymore.
that's it. I'm done being crazy.
That?
Flat Earth isn't real. There's no such thing as a parallel universe.
Maybe the flat Earth is real, but that's for a future podcast.
I would love to be a part of that one.
Oh, I bet you would.
I love hearing both arguments. Of course, I'm not a flat earther, but I love hearing.
That's what we got. We got to get someone who's a flat earther in here. And not to rip them, although if fucking
I don't know.
Monterey was here, that's all that fucking podcast would be. And I would be in
See, the problem is-
glorious way either way, but
I'd have no problem. Most flat earthers, I don't know about all, much like the people that singular universe people versus multi-universe people, you get some of those people, for the most part, I want to say the general consensus of them all, that are, you got to see it my way. You got to believe what I'm telling you because I've got all the facts. And you could sit there and, well, what about this? That doesn't make sense. It scares and angers me.
maybe not in so many words, but there's
It's hard to talk. I've talked to a couple of flat earthers, and it's hard to have conversations about what they believe because all they want to do is press it down your throat.
I've met one flat earther, and we used to bullshit a lot, and he was notorious for like preaching to me whatever it was he was preaching about flat earth theory and all his other theories that I wasn't on board with, but I am all about listening.
So
But
am I.
every time he brings something up, I go, well, how do you explain this? And it's like, well, I don't know. And it's like, well, if you don't know what you're talking about, how do you justify preaching it to people? Like, study up on what you believe in, I guess, and then preach to me. But if you don't know, if you're just reading it off some website, like you just discovered Google on your phone, like don't try to like convert me to something. Like that's an awful method of like study.
I got back to the topic at hand.
Right.
Multiverse. I got some like a couple of different like perspectives on some gentlemen's work. I can name them. Can we name them?
Why not?
I don't know. Copyright infringement? I don't fucking know.
Is his name copyrighted?
No,
I didn't know we could copyright a name.
Well, we're not supposed to fucking sponsor. We're not supposed to advertise for companies either.
We're not monetized, so you can say whatever you want to say.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not sure about all this stuff yet.
Yeah.
I'm still learning. Like when I got into the
Once I start getting a check in the mail, then we gotta watch.
I mean, once we start getting a check in the mail.
Yeah, I'll split the $50.
Yes! I get a Code Red.
$25.
I get a Mountain Dew Code Red, the greatest soda in the world.
Anyway. Now I'll have to beep that out in future podcasts.
Mountain Dew said I either have to blow them or hold that pose for 5 minutes straight in order to get money.
5 minutes straight. Just blow them, man. It's way easier.
I'll be back.
You would have did that anyway. Are you sure you want both? No, man, just one. All right.
You're lost, loser.
Yeah.
I would have done both for nothing.
He would have. The cuffs are hurting, officer. Anyway,
spread your cheeks and lift your sack. So yeah. So I want to throw this at you. You tell me what you think, because it's very technical, very science technical like jargon. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So Max Tegmark's 4 levels. Okay. Cosmologist Max Tegmark has provided a taxonomy of universes beyond the familiar observable universe. Level 1, an extension of our universe. Level 2, universes with different physical constants. Level 3, many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. Mm-hmm. And then, level 4, ultimate ensemble.
Are you going to go through each one?
I will. Okay. I'll give a quick synopsis. Level 1, extension of our universe. Prediction of chaotic inflation is the existence of an infinite ergodic universe, which, being infinite, must contain Hubble volumes, realizing all initial conditions. So, like when I read into that, it gives it a little bit more. Same physical laws, same physical constants in regards to the configurations of matter.
So there is a set amount of energy and matter and protons and
atoms, molecular, whatever.
So in that universe, statistically, mathematically, there's only a finite way you can have different things. So that would go on and on. This is where this is where the the infinite universe, that's what you're talking about, right? The infinite universe theory is if things can only be organized in a finite number of ways, then in theory there would be a second you, maybe altered a little bit, but there would be a second you, a second microphone, a second me, a second show, YouTube, somewhere out in the universe, a complete copy, mathematically, in an infinite universe.
But with slight variations, but only equal to what can be varied from another.
Right.
So, like, in this theory, in this level of the universe, in this level, it could be we have gold microphones, but we're doing everything the same. We're doing.
Oh no! Wait a minute.
Oh! There's 3 universes converging on one. But and I read that and I was like, oh shit. Like someone could be doing the exact same thing I'm doing right now, reading all this facts, all this information, but with different colored paper on a different colored carpet floor.
Right.
You know, it's like, ooh, okay, that's pretty fucking cool. Love it. So, okay.
Now you're going to start doing what I fucking do and look for, like, I want to listen to more. Michio Kaku. Start with Dr. Michio Kaku.
Okay.
He's a physicist. Specializes in string theory and quantum physics.
Dude, I was reading up on a lot about that. Quantum mathematics, quantum
his lectures.
Fucking so much.
I find his lectures like fantastic, but that's a great like entry level. And then you go to like Neil deGrasse Tyson, all like the big names. But then you'll just keep going on. It's funny
because I think those are 2 names that are mentioned throughout some of this work.
You'll go on and on, discover more physicist and. But yeah, so that's if you're gonna like start listening to him on YouTube, just type in Dr. Michio Kaku, and you'll come up with like a bunch of like hour long or whatever.
Put it up there.
Okay. Oh, my neck cracked doing that. Okay.
I already cracked my neck, so I wouldn't do that.
Go. He's alive again.
my alternate universe standing in.
Oh.
Okay, level 2. Universes with different physical constants. Now this one, I'll read this one because it's a little bit smaller than the other one.
Right.
In the chaotic inflation theory, which I'll explain down the road, which is a variant of the cosmic inflation theory, another one I'll explain, the multiverse or space as a whole is stretching and will continue doing so forever. So there's no... And it's not so much an infinite amount of universes, it's that they're ever expanding.
Yeah. There's one theory or there's a couple theory, but for the way the universe will end in that theory, one is the big rip, and then another one is the big freeze. That was one.
Well, it's funny. Well, check this out, right?
Yeah, I gotta say, go ahead.
This one, it's constantly expanding, but there are constants in it that are stopping, regions of space stopping, stretching, and forming distant bubbles, like gas pockets.
Right.
And a loaf of rice and bread. It's funny that you mentioned that. Such
Well,
bubbles are
bubble
embryonic
universe.
level 1 multiverses.
Yeah, that's...
So now in this level 2 universe, you actually have level 1 universes, multiple universes
Popping up.
forming within these bubbles.
Yeah, that's the bubble universe theory.
Which is bubbles in my brain right now. Different bubbles may
I think
experience.
that's mad cow disease. It's spongy.
Forming. Such bubbles are embryonic level 1 multiverses. Different bubbles may experience different spontaneous symmetry breaking, which results in different properties, such as different physical constants. But going back to level 1, they're all equal. They're equal amounts, just slight variations, but all symmetrical.
Right.
So it's like, fuck. You have now level 1 appearing in level 2. But level 2 is a whole nother set of like multiple universes all within one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is great. This is shit that I've like years ago I found like about 2011, 2012. That's when I really got into like all this like physics shit. But like nobody else would listen to it, so I was just like nerding out in my own head.
See,
but now someone else is like fucking jumping on board.
Well, no, because here's the thing, and yeah, I don't look it, but I'm fucking
smart.
Fuck you. Actually, that's what I was going at. Physics, science has always been one of my strong points.
Right.
Physics has always been like something I've always fucking been passionate about, but not like anything past what's within my reach.
Right.
Like the physics behind our basic
every action is a reaction kind of deal.
Yeah, like the stuff we learned in school, like all that shit.
Yeah, because when we were in school, they didn't when I was in school anyway, they didn't touch on anything about multiverses, all this like theory and everything. I'm like, fuck, man. Now, if they had touched on that, I probably would have been like, fuck, man, I want to go into science. Like
at school, when I was in physics class, it was...
They gave you a stick, didn't they?
It was like, all right, how do we move...
Hit him.
How do
what happened?
We move this massive force with one singularity, one singular small thing?
Right.
So it was great, because to me, that was fun. Figuring out how to change, not so much break the laws, but either work around them or make them work for me.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
And that's what I loved about physics. And now that I'm seeing it like apply to this, it's like, where the fuck have I been? Where the fuck have you been? It's like that first time you see a boob, it's like, I love
you. Where's the other one?
It's like, man, this dead body's really dilapidated.
Where is the other one?
I'm glad there's at least one boob left on it.
I'll take it home with me.
That face you make when the body starts to stink after 9 days and you realize you can't have sex with it anymore.
That's sad. Is that the face, Charlie?
No, it's that face.
Oh.
That's not mine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's not mine. It's Monterey. Before he died.
But he was just here yesterday.
Don't lie to the viewers.
That was the multiverse
That
Monterey.
was a pre-recorded episode.
No.
Like 10 years ago.
That was the parallel Monterey.
No, that was 10 years ago in...
So now we're time traveling?
In Canajahari, Georgia.
Wait.
It's 3 miles away.
Wait. Now we're time traveling.
Which actually comes up in the multiverse.
It's actually, time travel, the theory of time travel comes up just as a whole and universe, not like multiverse parallel, whatever. It's just
Monterey's not that, guys.
As a whole thing. But time in general, the subject time comes up everywhere.
Well, it's funny because the white holes...
Just because that's one of our 3 dimensions that we see, and then there's time. So...
When we get talking, when you start talking about some of your info, I'm going to do a little bit of digging into this because it does explain what the white hole is.
Right.
As opposed to a black hole. It does kind of give...
Actually, everything you're touching on is everything that I already had written down, so this is great. Now I can just kind of like, you throw things at me and I can throw it back. So that's perfect.
Got it.
Super scope. You don't do that with the super scope.
My thing is always fog on the lens.
Mine doesn't work because you're using it wrong, man. Get it out of your ass. It doesn't fire straight.
Okay, so it's funny too because really quick, bubble you there's a little. You'll have to put this up there, this little diagram here. It gives you. It shows you 6 different levels of universe 1 through 6, and then the universe we are living, which is right on top of them all.
Right.
Bubble universes. Every disc represents a bubble universe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Universe we're living in. Universe 1 through 6 represent bubble universes. 5 of them have different physical constants than our own universe has.
I'm listening.
So it's like the bubble universe we were talking about earlier. It's great how it puts them almost like they're stacked right on top of each other.
Yeah.
It goes back with the whole string or bubble parallel.
There's so many.
The parallel universe, or like the like I was talking about before earlier with my cinematic definition of a multiverse. They're right on top of each other or right next to each other with just slight differences, but all having their own different amount of physical constants, all of equal amount. They don't have to be the same. They're all different physical constants, but there's the same amount in every single one.
Yes.
So,
same amount of mass, energy. Whatever.
Yeah. So level 3, many worlds interpretation of quantum
matter,
mechanics.
not mass.
So this one's a pretty good one, but this one I really like. I'll read this little passage right here. In brief, one aspect of quantum mechanics is that certain observations cannot be predicted absolutely. Instead, there is a range of possible observations, each with a different probability. According to the MWI, each of these possible observations corresponds to a different universe. Right? Suppose a 6-sided die is thrown, and that the result of the throw corresponds to a quantum mechanics observable. All 6 possible ways the die can fall correspond to 6 different universes.
Right.
So it's all about like how we were talking earlier with, in this universe, you have a gold mic, I have a silver mic, you're sitting there, I'm sitting here. In the other universe, you have the silver mic, I have the gold mic, I'm sitting on the black and white chair, you're sitting on the plain black chair. It's all the variables. Love it. It's awesome shit. So, next one. Oh, where'd it go? I'm losing my shit here.
One universe, I got a penis in my hand.
Where did you go? Where did you go?
Oh my god. We just crossed up.
Okay, here we go. So, level 4, Ultimate Ensemble. I love this one. This one I want to read quite a bit from because it's more... See, really quick, the study of the multiverse, the belief of the multiverse, it's all theoretical.
Mm-hmm.
Science, and I gotta respect this, the science field doesn't really look at it as scientific because it's more theoretical than it is factual.
It's not concrete because they can't prove that it is something.
But
there's things that say it could be, but there's no solid any kind of evidence that says yes, this is.
Which on the same side, on the other side of that, that theory, that statement though is, can you disprove it?
Well, that's exactly what science does. Like, it's not just about like I prove it, but if you can disprove it, that's just
and
as
that's
good.
why it kind of bothered me as I was reading through all this.
Well, that's exactly where theory comes from. It's you can't prove it nor disprove it.
So then what we do is what they do is what the science community does usually as not as a whole, but some facet of it, they take on that that endeavor to, is there a way we can prove it? Is there a way we can disprove it?
Well, that's the thing, is for every tests they do for every method they use and everything. It's like, well, let's see if we can prove if this molecule interacts with this whatever, smashing these two molecules together works. Now, if whatever they're testing works, okay, now is there a way to disprove or like figure a reason why I guess I wouldn't say why it wouldn't work, or is there any factor in there that tainted their outcome that would disprove why whatever test they're doing worked? And then if there was, then that test is moved and they're right back to square one.
Well, you see,
that's why fucking like it's got to be so goddamn frustrating being a scientist. You're like, damn it,
see, but
you got to be so meticulous and everything.
That's where, as the community, the science community, that's where, as someone in the science community, should stop and say, all right, what can we test for? Like the black holes. We keep referencing that. Have you ever heard of the terminology Hawking radiation?
Yes, loosely, but that's like a fairly recent thing, yeah?
No. Stephen Hawking's, it's been out for a while.
Well, all right, so what, the 70s? It's...
Okay, I guess in the world of science...
Okay, no, it's not recent as in like the last 5 years.
No, but in the science community, I mean, we split the atom what?
we fucking did it.
The human species
That's
split
right.
the atom
we just
back
did that
in
yesterday.
40s.
Right.
We went from splitting the atom in the 40s to developing megaton weapons in a matter of 30, 40 years. Now, in retrospect to a human lifespan, that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But in retrospect to the entirety of science, that's barely a fucking breath. Like, because when we...
The human race, which are a couple 100,000 years.
Look at the first scientist, and a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're stupid. Oh, fire! They weren't scientists, but they figured out how to cause a chemical reaction.
How did they learn English so fast? And why did they know to call fire fire?
Why is fire called fire?
I don't know.
Fuck knows. Why are you called a man? Or partial man?
I don't know. That's made up too. And that's presumptuous to even think I am any man.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to assume your gender. I apologize.
Gender? I'm not a gender. I'm a fucking plant.
A fucking plant. That would explain the offspring.
No, I don't even move.
Then how are you a fucking plant?
Oh, I'm a Mars flytrap. Like the candy bar, but with no flies.
That is a flytrap. Mars bars are amazing. They fucking trap you. And then you wake up crying in the shower with $20 stapled to your forehead.
Oh, were you in the Deathmatch podcast?
Should have been.
Cheap plug.
So,
anywho.
Okay.
I don't even remember how we got on the topic.
This level 4, Ultimate Ensemble. This level considers all universes to be equally real, which can be described by different mathematical structures. Max Tegmark. Abstract mathematics is so general that any theory of everything, TOE, funny analogy, which is, what's the word? Acronym, funny acronym, TOE, which is definable in purely formal terms independent of vague human terminology. There's also a mathematical structure. For instance, a TOE, theory of everything, involving a set different type of entities, denoted by words, same relations between them, additional words, is nothing but mathematicians call a set theoretical model, and one can genuinely find a formal system that it is a model of. So, to me, what that says is we can mathematically figure out what is, and with the level 4 unit, with the level 4 Ultimate Ensemble, we can therefore figure out what every other one is and is going to be.
Okay, so that would be
based on a mathematical structure. It's just developing that mathematical structure.
That would be the idea of. I've said this before when we talked about. It stemmed from this conversation. We talked about if you could have one superpower, what would it be? And everyone was like, "Oh, this, whatever, flying, strength, blah blah blah, whatever, time travel." And my go-to all the time was my superpower would be control of everything at a molecular structure, or just a molecular structure. Because if you had that, you literally could control everything. You could create things out of nothing. You could control time, because everything is on a molecular structure. Everything is protons, neutrons, and if you could control the organization of everything, you could take dirt and turn it into gold. You could take gold and turn it into water.
But that contradicts what you just said.
No,
hold on. I'm picking one thing you said out of all of that. You said you could create something from nothing.
Right.
Which you can't, because physics has proven it. Nothing can come from nothing. Something can't come from nothing. And
there actually is a theory where that might not be true.
Well, I'd love to hear that.
I'll get to that after. But anyway, what I was saying before, let me finish.
Go ahead.
You could literally create everything. Going on what you were talking about here, what you could also do is, I've said before, if you knew exactly where every molecule in the universe was at that moment and how it was interacting with each molecule next to it, then you could actually predict the future infinitely and the past infinitely past the Big Bang, because you would know exactly where this molecule came from before it interacted with this one and where this one was going after it interacted with the previous. And if you could do that, you could know everything. That's mind-blowing to me. But that's where that came from.
It is. I don't want to go too off topic, but you brought up a couple things that made me go, wow, this is awesome.
And if I said came from nothing, that was just a blanket whatever.
Oh, no, that's okay. No. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I did. I'm
actually happy that I mentioned, if I did, though, because that actually does coincide with something else that I've stumbled across I didn't even know about until today.
Well, you see, and that's... I didn't mean to dig right on that. Well, no, you said this. I can't believe that. That was very subjective of me. Well, alchemy. The study of alchemy. It's the transfiguration of matter into something else, but you can't create something from nothing. For everything you create, something of equal has to be given.
Yeah, because there's only a set amount of energy and mass in the known universe.
Which it's like...
But there's also, like, where they thought, like, recently in the last few years, they thought that the universe is actually losing energy somewhere.
Which goes into... It's funny that you bring that up, because that's in here too. The whole black hole theory. Matter going into it. Compression. It takes whatever it eats, whatever it brings into it, and compresses it to a singularity. So you're telling me, like, with the... Going back to your superpower of the molecular, I guess...
Control.
Were we formed... And this is where the multiverse happens to come from, like, involve the black hole concept. Everything in a black hole is compressed to a singularity. So you're telling me our planet gets sucked into a black hole, compressed into a singularity. All that matter is compressed into that one particle. And that one particle combines with another particle. So there's the theory of multiple universes existing within a black hole.
I have that here.
And Hawking radiation comes from Stephen Hawking's, when the whole theory, when everything was being discussed about black holes eating everything, he came up with the concept of finding a way to test it. To see what a black hole, if you could measure it, anything. And he found out that it does emit a radiation. And it's called Hawking radiation, which is actually how they can measure. It's actually based off the temperature of the black hole. So when you get thinking about that, it's like, so the more mass it takes in, does it get hotter? Does it get colder? If it's getting colder, is it taking in matter more slowly? If it gets hotter, is it taking in matter much more fastly? Does that attribute to the Big Bang Theory? Because the hotter things are, that means the faster the molecules are moving. The faster the molecules are moving, the more collisions you're going to have. Big Bang Theory, which is where the multiverse theory comes from. The multiverse within the black hole theory comes from. The higher the Hawking radiation, the more action's going on in that black hole. So he found a way to test its level of activity. And that right there, to me, is mind-altering, because with everything that goes into a black hole. Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey. That shows like him getting brought into a black hole, and it literally puts him into like the past where he causes the reaction that he himself is like, oh, it's a ghost in the room, but it's really him like the reality within the universe within the reality within another reality.
Right.
Which is another concept of multiverses. Is there multiple universes, or is it multiple realities within this reality?
I know there's talking about the black hole and the multiverse being in a black hole.
Go on a little bit about that.
There's a theory of our universe actually existing in a black hole or being at the other side of a black hole.
Oh, that's another thing I gotta say too. Sorry, go ahead.
But that's all I was going to say about that. The sheer size of the universe, all right, light expansion, 13.7 billion years. Some believe it started from a Big Bang, which you're talking about. Others believe, and this is what we were talking about before, is that the universe always existed along with time, which suggests that matter is constantly being created at a single point. So the universe is expanding, but it's not going to expand into this like big rip or this like die of just going cold, everything burning out. It's expanding from this single point and just constantly creating matter and just constantly expanding like that. So instead of everything getting further away from each other, which I believe we've measured that it actually is, as in scientists, but maybe not.
So there's the black hole paper. Okay. So moving on. There's a scientist, a theoretical physicist. Sorry. Brian Greene, the American theoretical physicist and string theorist, discussed 9 types of multiverses. And it's funny how you were talking about string, bubble. Check this out. Quilted.
Yep.
The quilted multiverse works only in an infinite universe.
That's the one where they actually bubble up, and that's the one you were talking about creates pockets and whatnot.
Well, no, hold on. The quilted multiverse works only in an infinite universe. With an infinite amount of space, every possible event will occur an infinite number of times. However, the speed of light prevents us from being aware of these identical areas.
13.7 billion years. That's all we can see.
So, the next one, inflationary. The inflationary multiverse is composed of various pockets in which inflation fields collapse and form new universes. The bubble theory. The bubble universe. So it's like there's a lot of misinterpretations, like when, like the way people, it's amazing how I found like the description of each. This could all be just someone's opinion,
right?
But it's based off Brian Greene's work,
right?
Brain, the Brain multiverse version.
Brain, B-R-A-N-E.
Yes, B-R-A-N-E. How do you pronounce it?
Brain.
Then why is there an E?
Brains with an I.
How do you know he didn't want to pronounce it brain? How dare you assume he didn't want to pronounce it brain?
How dare you assume he did?
Another universe talking.
Shut up, you.
The brand.
That's the conscious. All right, go ahead.
The Brand multiverse version postulates that our entire universe exists on a membrane. That's why I pronounce it brain. Membrane. Brain, B-R-A-N-E, which floats in a higher dimension or bulk. In this bulk, there are other membranes with their own universes. These universes can interact with one another. The Mandela effect can interact with one another, and when they collide, the violence and energy produced is more than enough to give rise to a Big Bang. Mm-hmm. Hence our universe being created. The brains float or drift near each other in the bulk, and every few trillion years, attracted by gravity or some other force we do not understand, collide and bang into each other. This repeated contact gives rise to multiple or cyclic Big Bangs. This particular hypothesis falls under the string theory umbrella, as it requires extra spatial dimensions.
That's the one where if the universe ever died, even if it died, it would still expand with things in it, and that would statistically give way to the possibility of a ultimate conscience just existing throughout the entire universe.
When I was reading this in my head, I was formulating it, and it was funny that they used the word membranes, because when you look at the human anatomy,
the brain, yeah, that's been like said a lot. It's like if you look at the brain on a molecular level and then look at the universe, like it's very similar.
It's because I've heard of that, and I've heard people discuss that.
It's something that the average Joe would hear it but not think twice about it. But if you're actually like reading the shit and like actually look at it, be like, fuck,
it triggered that thought. And
are we just really molecular things in a giant thing?
Are there multiple universes? Are there universes being created within our molecular level? Within us on a molecular level. Sorry, I put two sentences in one. Well, no, because when you think about it, listen to a lot of like human, like when people talk, when doctors and scientists talk about the human brain and the anatomy of it, like there are synapses being formed in our brain, like at the speed of light, and we're creating thousands of them, millions of them, and we're also killing off millions of them, all instantaneous, and it's like
things that aren't needed, and
it's like, oh my god, what is going on?
So what was somewhere I heard or read that the human brain has the capacity to remember, like, was it like 250 years, the equivalent of like 250 years of recorded TV or something like that, like some ridiculous amount of like, it's like, talk about a supercomputer.
Well, that's just it. It's funny that you made that. It's funny that you bring that up because you triggered something in my head. I've heard about it in the past, and shout out to my kid brother. He made a joke.
Kid brother?
I have a younger brother.
Oh.
My younger brother.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Shout out to my kid brother. He made a joke back in the day, and it was all about Adam and Eve. You know, God exists. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I can prove it. I'm like, let me hear it. Adam and Eve existed, and you know how they talked to the snake? I'm like, yeah. You know how they could do that? I'm like, no. Because they were using 100% of their brain. I'm like, okay. He goes, what is the #1 cause of mental retardation? I'm like, I don't know. He goes, incest. I'm like, I'm interested in what you have to say. And not because I want to have sex with my cousin.
I'm listening.
I don't. But it should be legal, like smoking pot, especially if she's really hot. Sorry, I went a little too far. I won't talk about pot.
God, you butchered that joke.
Fuck you, okay. But he goes, no, think about it. Adam and Eve had kids. I'm like, okay. Who did they have sex with to have kids? I'm like, ooh. He goes, and they lost a little percentage of brain when they started reproducing with each other. And as it went down, the more we reproduce with our siblings, as it's filtered down, the humans only use 10% of their brain. I'm like, oh, that's so gross, but scientifically sounding in a very asshole-ish kind of way to be a sarcastic prick to religious people.
God, if you were a scientist and didn't study at all, it sounds like something I would believe.
But it was, like I said, it was a joke, but it was funny because it goes.
I bet you that we used to use 100% of our brain, but Adam and Eve, they were related, and now we only use 10% of our brain. So we're incest. I'm a scientist.
But for the longest time, growing up, you always heard humans only use 10% of their brain. They've only unlocked so much of their brain's potential.
Right.
That's not the case. We only use 10% of our brain because it's much like using a computer. When you turn on the computer and you go to look up something on Google, you're using one program. But what you don't realize is there's so much shit going on in the background of that computer. The human brain is just like a modem, like a tower. We only use what we need to use because that's all we're trained to use.
That's not actually...
But we have so much memory, so much potential to do so much more processing.
We do, but that's not actually a thing anymore. Humans don't only use 10% of their brain.
No.
Even at a time, we always use our full capacity.
Because the rest of the brain we're using whether we realize it or not. We're either storing visual data where, okay, there's actually two parts of your brain. One is subconscious, one is active. The subconscious is more based off of your subhuman instincts.
Primordial.
When someone points a gun in your face, fight or flight. Woo! That's the part of your brain that kicks in.
Yeah.
And your conscious part of your brain is like, I don't like when you take over. You make rash decisions. The conscious part of your brain is the one that says, I gotta pay this bill. The subconscious part of your brain is the one that goes, whee, money! You're excited because you earned money, but your
I think that's both actually conscious part.
Well, no. It triggers a reward feeling in your body.
Okay, the reward feeling, yeah.
You don't realize it, but it's like, I worked hard for this money. It makes me feel good. Yeah, you're thinking about making the money, making you feel good, but your subconscious brain is the one telling your body to feel good because of it. Your conscious part of your brain is the one going, well, I did have to work for it, and I do have to pay my bills. So, but that's just, that's divergent. That's off topic. So in the brain version, it mentioned the word cyclic. So the cyclic multiverse, the cyclic being the next type of multiverse. The cyclic multiverse has multiple brains that have collided, causing big bangs. The universe is bounced back and passed through time until they are pulled back together and again collide, destroying the old contents and creating them anew. Mm-hmm. So that's the whole concept of multiverses being there's only a set amount. It's not infinite.
Right.
They're colliding, destroying old, creating new.
It's like a giant recycling bin.
Basically.
Yeah.
I love that one. That one right there. But I think that comes from, and it's funny because within some of this work, it talks about how humans, the reason why there are anti-multiverse people is because they don't like the concept of there being something they don't know or something they can't explain. Not that they don't know about it, they know about it because here we are talking about it, but they can't explain it. So they're like, oh, if you can't explain it, I don't want to bother with it. Mm-hmm. I like that one because it gives me that feeling of, well, there is only a set amount, so there's only going to be a certain amount of possibilities. But it's funny how when I was reading all this, I liked that one the most, but my mind has been opening to the concept of all the other stuff. The known, the unknown, the where it's going to go, what it's going to be, all of that fun shit. So the next one, the landscape. The landscape multiverse relies on the string theory's Calabi-Yau spaces. Quantum fluctuations drop the shapes to a lower energy level, creating a pocket with a set of laws different from that of the surrounding space. Once again, the black hole. It collapses everything to a singularity, and it changes. I don't think it necessarily breaks the laws of physics, but it bends them, and it alters them. Not to break them, but to fit, I guess, the conditions of which it's set. The landscape, though, that's such a generic term. Quantum. The quantum multiverse creates a new universe when a diversion in events occurs, something from nothing, as in the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. That one really kind of I was about it first, because when I got thinking about it, I'm like,
this is the one I've heard the most of.
Creates a universe when a diversion in events occurs, which means it creates something because something happened, but it doesn't believe in a set amount.
That is the daughter universe theory. That's the one for every. All right, so for a quick example, you come up to a road. There's a right road. There's a fork. One goes right, one goes left, and at that moment in time, whichever direction you choose, that pops up another universe. So there would be two universes there, one where you go right, one where you go left.
Yeah.
Now the next thing that happens, there will be a pop-up of however many options there are to do that. So it's basically like a tree diagram or a family tree where it just keeps branching and branching. That's what that is. That's the one I'm fascinated with. That's the one you'll hear a lot with Dr. Michio Kaku and everyone else. They talk a lot about that.
But that one I was I don't really like that idea because of the whole create something from nothing. But that's the one that interests me more. like, I liked the cyclic one, but this one interested me more because of the whole concept of the creation of something from nothing.
Right.
To me, I think it's not because I'm anti whatever it is, anti quantum. I guess is the best way to put it.
Anti-small? You can't be.
But it's like I'd love to see the theory. I'd love to hear what's his name again? Dr.
Michio Kaku.
Michio Kaku. I don't want to butcher it. Dr. Michio Kaku. I'd love to hear where he comes from and like, okay, do you believe in what's your opinion on the creation of matter? Does it have to come from something? And if that's the case, if he says yes, I believe you can't create something from nothing. Okay, so then explain to me how your quantum theory of the quantum multiverse, your theory of the quantum multiverse applies. Because what you're saying, like you were talking about the daughter universe, you called it the daughter universe, I found it called the quantum universe. Like you said, you go to that fork, boom, another universe is created. Where did that universe come from then? What created that universe? Just the fact that you made the choice? Because if that's the case, I have a hard time, okay, real quick, my opinion, I have a hard time believing we're the only sentient life form in this universe. Or in existence. Law of probabilities, but that's based off what we've developed as humans. Law of probabilities, you can't have just one. Like the law of averages.
Well, there's not to say that there hasn't been or won't be, but we might very well be the only one in existence now. Because if the universe, the known or unknown universe is as big and expansive and is expanding as much as it is and has, then there might have been advanced technologies billions of years ago that were wiped out and went extinct, and we just happen to pop up now. I mean, if you go by like just what we've been able to observe and haven't come across any intelligent life form, and the everything that had to go right or wrong in the existence and the 4 whatever billion years that the Earth is, how old it is for us to come into existence through evolution, everything else, like how rare that occurrence is. Like it's got to be rare throughout all time. Like in respects to like how we perceive time. Mm-hmm. So there might have been an existence of a advanced civilization 600 million years ago, and we obviously were nowhere near around to witness it or anything. And they went extinct, and now here we are looking for other civilizations, which there may not be any. But then in another 2 or 3 billion years, there might pop up another one 50 million light years away, or 50 billion light years away, rather. So see, you don't know.
But with that thought, within this, there's a gentleman's work who made the remark, our universe is the farthest from pervert that it could be. But we're not dead wrong. Because if we were any more wrong than we are now, we couldn't exist.
Right.
So what are we doing that has made it so that we've gone this far, doing right, that others haven't? If these were so advanced, like, not so much like your theory, like okay. So when you say that, it makes me think of what did they do wrong that we've done right when we're doing it as wrong as we are. The belief is, my belief, based off this guy's work that I read, because it made me think of a good question. Like with everything we are doing, I mean, like a lot of people believe in the whole environmental, like changing, good, bad, all that stuff. Mm. With everything we're doing to this planet, I mean, would you honestly say we're doing right by it?
No, everything we do with this planet is complete self-preservation.
Exactly.
When there's to save the trees, fuck off, you're not saving the trees. You're just worried if there's no trees and you can't breathe. If we could breathe without trees, we wouldn't give a fuck about trees. And I don't care what anybody else says out there. Complete bullshit. Bullshit.
No, I agree.
It's self-preservation.
I agree.
But what we've done right with this nation, world, this nation Earth.
America.
Yeah, we're Tinker Deebs.
The Tinker Deebs.
There's again, Dr. Michio Kaku talks about this. It talks about our civilization. Like, there's 4 levels of civilization: a level 0, level 1, level 2, and level 3. A level 0 civilization is where we were and kind of still are, and that's a species that has that uses the resources from the planet they're living on as fuel and food and everything else. And then there's a level 2 civilization, or level 1 civilization.
Say, where did level 1 go?
Don't worry about it.
Another universe.
Level 1 civilization, which is on a global scale in communication with everybody, and has harnessed the energies and powers of that world they're living on. We're in this weird transition period of between 0 and 1. And it's weird because it can also be very destructive, which, if you watch the news, we're on always on the verge of either surviving or completely destroying ourselves. A level 2 civilization reaches the ability to colonize other planets. And we've looked at Mars and wherever, what's that, Proxima Centauri, that star, whatever fucking planet is in that system. Which is 5 million light years away. It's relatively close.
Yeah, we'll get there in a couple hours.
Yeah, sure, no problem. And then there's a level 4 civilization, which is Star Trek, which is a civilization that is constantly traveling, which we are millions of years away from that.
We are.
If we even make it that far, we might even go extinct in the next 100,000 years.
I was going to say.
Which I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't think we're so much as years away from it. I think we're evolutions away from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think...
I doubt that we'll even see in our lifetime the full transition to a level 1, because that's harnessing all the energy of the earth and everything. So complete thermal energy, if we were able to drill down into the core of the earth and harness that energy to have infinite energy, free energy for everyone, for the electricity, fuels, for everything. We'd be completely off fossil fuels and have all solar energy. We can put domes up for our sports arenas, but solar energy's too fucking hard. Fuck out of here. If we got rid of currency, if we got rid of national borders, races, religions, you literally would have to get rid of every bit of tribal everything. Sports teams, there could really be none of that. To fully have a type 1 civilization, you can't have anything that would cause destruction, which that idea in and of itself is very fucking dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Very dangerous. But on the flip side, it could also benefit the human race. So that's one of those things I don't know.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You're either going to cut someone or you're going to get cut from it.
Yeah, so we're in that transition period right now. But anyway.
Back to the multiverse. So quantum, okay. Next one, holographic. Now this one I wanted to ask your opinion on because it's very vague for me. The holographic multiverse is derived from the theory that the surface area of a space can encode the contents of the volume of the region. So to me, the holographic multiverse.
I'll have to read that. Go ahead.
So to me, use this use your desk as an example. The contents of it could contain its own universes. That's the general idea I'm picking up from that. I wish I'd actually typed up and searched more based on that so I can get a little bit more into it. I'm going to have to fact check that for you folks if we end up... Because if this is a popular one, we could do another follow-up.
You know what? This is one time I'm actually going to, not bust your ass. Look it up, just out of my own curiosity.
8%. Can I see your phone?
I might be at 12.
You're charging, though. I'm not. Here, what's that?
Oh, I'm at 21.
Oh, all right. You got it unlocked. It's not. Give me to Google. I don't want to go through. It's your personal thing, man. I don't want to go through your shit. It's how I am for everything.
Holographic universe.
Here's some information about holographic principle.
See, because I really wish I dove a little bit more into that, just because of that description.
That's right. There's so much shit to go through here. Like, here, I'll give.
Well, that's why I'm not going through all of it. I'm just touching on the things
Right.
that really stuck out. Like I keep referencing the black hole. Where's the information I found about?
All right. So this is.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
The holographic principle is a tenet of string theories and supposed property of quantum gravity that states that the description of a volume of space can be thought as encoded on a lower dimensional boundary to that region, such as a light-like boundary, like a gravitational horizon. That explained absolutely fucking nothing to me.
Let me read that again. Read that out loud, please.
Okay. A holographic principle is a tenet of string theories and a supposed property of quantum gravity that states that the description of a volume of space can be thought of as encoded on a lower dimensional boundary to the region, such as light-like boundary, like a gravitational horizon.
Okay, so to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that to me, like I said, when I read that description, I was like, wow, that's really kind of vague. But if I had to kind of define it in my own head based off what I read,
Right.
to me, that sounds like the concept of the existence of universes on a dimensional plane, multiple universes existing on a dimensional plane. Now, a dimension obviously is something we exist
The three dimensions what we can perceive.
So, to me, the holographic multiverse is there's universes on the first dimension, there's universes that exist on the second dimension, and there's universes that exist on the third dimension.
Possibly.
So the first dimension, what's that?
I'd just say like width. Was it width, depth?
So, what's the first dimension? Oh, fuck it. What are the three dimensions?
According to Wikipedia, three-dimensional space is a geometric setting in which three values are required to determine the position of an element.
Okay, so first dimension is X, second is Y,
Z.
third is Z. So, with the holographic universe, the dimensions appear on, like the universes appear on each dimension.
Right.
So, in the first dimension, there's only universes that follow those that basic constants, those basic laws.
Right.
They're only length. In the second dimension, there are universes that obey the constants of height or length, width, depth, whatever. And then the third exists
X, Y, and Z. Right.
X, Y, and Z. So with level one, with the first dimension, you only have universes that exist along that constant. They only obey the laws of the first dimension. The second dimension has universes that exist within that obey X and Y. So now you have two-dimensional.
Well, that would be three because then you'd have just X or X and Y. Or
see, but that's where it's like confusing. The holographic universe won't confuse you.
I'll look it up and I'll paraphrase it and I'll put it up and
well, see,
right on
we
the screen.
exist on a three-dimensional plane.
Right.
Which means, according to the holographic multiverse theory, there are other universes that exist within this universe that obey those constants.
Right.
So the second dimension, it's X and Y, which means the universes. So basically, it's like looking at a two-dimensional cartoon. There's universes. Yeah, to put it in layman's terms, I guess you could say.
The movie or the book movie, whatever, the Langoliers exists in our dimension without time.
Greatest Stephen King movie ever. Nothing like brown testicle-looking balls with teeth eating.
I fucking saw that. Critters. I know what that is.
Actually, I don't think there was ever really a bad Stephen King movie in my opinion, but that's just because I'm a fanboy for him. I love his movies. All of them were good. Okay, next one, Simulated. This one's cool.
This one's interesting.
The simulated multiverse.
Quite a stretch, but interesting.
The simulated universe, the simulated multiverse exists on a complex on complex computer systems that simulate entire universes. And these are universes we've created.
Well,
So it's like alternate realities.
not we, but there is no. I've heard a lot about this, but it's basically like there's nothing that says that this whole thing we live in isn't just a computer simulation of, and we are really just a brain, a conscious in a dish in a lab somewhere with electrodes hooked up to it. That's pretty much what it boils down to, the simulation universe. Which that if I'm like, well, that maybe there's no way to disprove it. It's like it's like someone walks along and says, "I am God," and like, well. No, you're not. I'm like, well, prove it. It's like, well, I can't prove it, but
God wouldn't die from a gunshot in the head. But how do you know that?
how do you know that he wouldn't come back as someone else then?
Reincarnation, bitch.
You know, it's just it's something. It's something that you can't really disprove.
But think about it this way.
You can't prove it either.
Think about it this way. Scientists, Mythbusters, great fucking show. They did the whole episode about the cleanliness of bathrooms. They took samples.
I saw that.
Right there.
Impossible.
What?
Impossible. You can't clean a bathroom. It's impossible.
So they literally took all these.
There was
petri
fecal
dishes
matters in other rooms,
and they showed like the bacteria like create like expanded in the petri dishes.
Right.
I like that idea.
Of shit all over the walls.
I like
There's shit everywhere.
I like that theory of a multiverse because it's like it'd be so great because then like you said before with the whole molecular thing, knowing the future, knowing the past. Right there, like if that came to be like a truth. It's eventually there's going to come a time when the whole knowing everything, answering all of life's questions, everything could be answered.
Right.
And if that to me is what science is all about, is finding that answer. So last one, the ninth type of universes according to
the last thing we'll touch on.
Brian Greene. Sorry, yes, we've been going for a while.
If you
don't mind, though,
fucking second podcast with this. But, yeah,
put up a definition of a black hole. Thank you. Leave it up there for a couple seconds, whatever, and then the definition of a white hole. I like that one. That's the blue waffle. No,
wrong hole. Everyone.
Fuck this. I'm going to another universe.
Oh, he's back.
Hey.
Hi.
I sound like a guy finally.
Did you make it to the right universe this time?
You want to see the Angry Beaver?
What if you just came to a universe where everyone's just a giant nipple?
Well, I'm going to go limp very quick because I'm going to pop off so much baby batter. It's disgusting.
Everyone's just staring at me.
Last one you want to touch on. Ultimate Multiverse. The Ultimate Multiverse contains
everyone is an Ultimate Warrior wannabe. Yes!
Well, your childhood dream came true.
Actually, no, I wasn't a huge Warrior fan, but go ahead.
That means your baby's mama is Ultimate Warrior.
Everyone's the Ultimate Warrior.
Well, that means your daughter's the Ultimate Warrior.
I'm going to cut promos that mean absolutely nothing and go nowhere and just yell about it and be super fucking like amped up so everyone's like, fuck, I don't know what he's saying, but I'm like hooked.
Ultimate Multiverse. The Ultimate Multiverse contains every mathematically possible universe under different laws of physics.
Right.
This is the theory.
This is like every possible everything. Where in some gravity might be stronger and others might be weaker.
Some might not have any. Some people might be on fire. Right. Some people
might thrive underwater. Yeah. Everything.
I love that one.
Any idea of anything.
Like, I liked cyclic. Quantum really interested me, but Ultimate is like the one where it's like, I love that idea.
That's probably the most interesting.
Because like you can't define it. Because every possibility.
We just did. There's a definition right there.
What I mean is, you can't.
You're wrong.
You can't like. I guess you couldn't categorize it, or no, like you couldn't identify it, because in that one you could have been the one who gave birth to your child.
I did. Through my pee hole.
Twins. Great movie.
A needle in my pee hole.
Probably Arnold Schwarzenegger's great. Nap time. I like that one. I love that one though, because despite all my beliefs, all my opinions, all of my like the way I feel about certain things when I hear them in regards to this, that one's like, that would be the most interesting to find out being true.
The thing with science is there really is no belief system.
No,
it's factual, not truth. That's something different.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because in some of the work that you read, in some of the work that I read through in this, it's like a lot of it's theoretical, which
most of it is.
The science community the science genre has always been based off of theories that became facts.
Mm-hmm. Or disproven, one or the other. I mean, but that's how they all start. It's like, well, I wonder what if this? Is there a way to get there? And that's how it starts.
And that's where it's like with the multiverse concept, it's like, it's a great concept.
I honestly like all of them. Every single one of those is like, wow, you could wrap your head. I mean, you could take each one of those theories and make a whole podcast about just that. Like, just dig on that subject.
The work is endless. Hold on, really quick, before we cut off. Let me find it really fast. Where was that? Because I'll show you, like, I wanted to read into some of them, and it was like, nope, I don't have the next 10 days of doing nothing, and that includes masturbating, of research time. Oh, okay, here you go. Where are you? Whoopsies, sorry. Oh, yeah, references. Laszlo Irvin, the synectivity hypothesis. Planck reveals an almost perfect universe, space and images, multiple universes principle, multiverses, do other universes exist, split the universe, hidden parts. Astronomers find first evidence of other universes. There's all of these references, all of this work that literally dives into these, the 9 types, Brian Greene's 9 types of multiverses. Mm-hmm. All of them, so much work you can go on, so much work you can read into. Now, final thought, because we got to give these people some honest opinions on how we feel, not just stuff we're reading, stuff that interests us. Do you believe in the concept? Do you believe? No. Do you? I could say, do you agree with the concept of multiverses? No. Do you believe in the possibility of me going down?
I think there is a possibility for any of those. Obviously you can't say yes, there absolutely is.
Oh God, no.
But do I think there is? Absolutely. There absolutely is a possibility. Just strictly on
two politicians.
Well, there's no way to disprove it or no way to prove it. I mean, I can't say, if I was to sit here and say absolutely, that would be a flat earther or kind of thing, or like Elvis is still alive kind of thing. That's just a blind, like, I believe. But I'm not one to just sit, I've said it before, I'm not one to jump on a bandwagon and be like, yes, this is absolutely true. It's like, okay, well, what if it isn't? Well, is there a possibility? Absolutely there is. If I was to gravitate toward one more than another, if that's what you're asking?
Yeah, let me do that then. Which concept do you believe would be the most feasible? Alright, so yeah, scratch that. Which one of those 9 types would you believe to be the most feasible if it was a fact?
I think the one I had listed as the daughter universe. The one where universes pop up out of nothing. The one that you were like, I'm
Quantum.
not too... Yeah. But again, that's the one I like always know. But that's the one where, you come up to something and there's multiple outcomes of whatever action that's being performed and multiple reactions, and like instead of just one thing happening, everything happens. and we're just living in one of those scenarios. I would probably gravitate toward that.
The quantum.
But on the same aspect, you could go along with parallel universes, but that's kind of the same thing. It's like just multiple things happening just outside of our realm of like.
See, that would be more.
That's parallel universes. That's the.
But for the 9 titles we read off,
that's one of the earlier ones.
the quilted.
Right.
The quilted multiverse works only in an infinite universe with an infinite amount of space. Every possible event will occur an infinite number of times.
Right.
However, the speed of light prevents us from
Like,
being aware of these other ones.
Um,
See, me,
I think the most interesting one is the simulation universe. That's the most Matrix
Simulated.
Hollywood kind of thing. I'd be like, oh, you never know. But far-fetched, I think it's far-fetched. But again, there's no way for me to prove it doesn't exist.
this is true. See, for me, it would be. It's funny.
There's one thing that I will say about the simulation universe that, and this is a really, really minute thing, and it's not just me that witnessed it or heard it. Rather, it was a guy I was working with. Shout out Trevor. We were at work, and there was a piece of wood, a sliver of wood on the ground, and I kicked it, and it sounded like a nail. Like, you know how just a regular nail rolls across concrete? Sounded like that. And I stopped, I looked at it, I looked at Trevor, I go, did you hear that? He goes, yeah, I did. I'm like, and then we both just like stood there, just stared at it, and then we looked at each other, just kind of went about our like work day. That blew my mind though. Like, I was like, I like to this day, I'm like there was no nail in it. It was a sliver of wood. There was no nail in it. I kicked it, and it was metal. But it was clearly wood, and it like blew my fucking mind. I'm like, but I was so happy that Trevor was right there, and I turned to him. I go, "Did you hear that?" And he said, "Yeah, I did." I'm like, "What the fuck was that?"
See,
so there's a glitch in the Matrix.
See, for me, I would have to say the one that seems most feasible, and it's, I guess, coming from a scientific standpoint. With everything we have, the Big Bang Theory and all that, it being a theory, the brain multiverse. Real quick.
The simulation one?
No, not simulated.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
brain
okay.
multiverse.
Yeah, the membrane thing.
Postulates that our entire universe exists on a membrane.
Yep.
Connect with one another, give rise to a Big Bang.
Right.
They have the super collider. They've shown how it works. The theory of how our universe created. But that's because that's what we were given. I think that's why I go with the brain being the most feasible. Now, real quick, before we forget, it's funny that you say that simulated is interesting. You said it was you went with quilted. The different universes, parallel universes. The Mandela effect. We talked about it earlier. We never really discussed it though. The Mandela effect being that
could be a whole nother topic.
You remember one thing,
right?
But
Bernstein,
Berenstain, because
Berenstain. That's what it was. Berenstain.
But then that kind of the brain. That's where like the brain and the quilted meet,
right?
Because the whole them crossing into each other, they could create adverse reactions, or could be simple crossovers. Like I said, brain to me would be the most feasible.
Yeah, absolutely.
If the theory of multiverse was fact, brain would be my pick.
Here is like something that I thought of some time ago, and it's not like this like unique fucking thought process. I'm sure tons of fucking physicists thought of it.
He's the first.
I am the first. We only perceive things on our plane of existence and our dimensions. So every theory we've come up with, be like, oh, this could exist. And they could all be completely moot, like absolutely nothing. And there could be like 20 some fucking dimensions out there, and the existence of everything and how everything came to be might be something completely out of our realm of understanding. There was no actual Big Bang. That's just what we perceived in our 3 dimensions, with time, 4 dimensions. And there might have been some other like method of existence that happened billions of years before our apparent Big Bang. Who the fuck knows?
In our dimensional plane, what if we're the sperm and the planet's the egg? And we've created and multiplied on it. Because much like cells...
God, 8 billion people.
Much like cells, we reproduce and replicate and keep growing into this thing.
Oh, what if we're not a sperm? What if we're a fucking disease?
What if we're a fetus? What if we are a fetus that hasn't formed yet?
Oh, we're a parasite. Here's a fun fact. If you put everyone in the world shoulder to shoulder, we could all fit inside the city of Los Angeles. Told you, an hour and a half. Fuck.
Fuck.